A. Smith is not a fan of Coach Prime in Colorado banning Sean Keeler from asking Prime and Colorado football players questions at their press conferences. Let's talk about it, what it means, and are you as mad at Stephen A as you would be at me? Because I agree with Stephen A on this. Let's talk about it after the bumper. Stay tuned. What is going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? My name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. This is the Victory Formation Sports Show right here on Jeff Lightsy Jr. YouTube, Facebook, wherever you get your content. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload all the time. Let's get right to it. Stephen A. Smith comments on the banishment of one Sean Keeler from Colorado football. Let me go ahead and share my screen, take you right to it. And I'm going to be stopping and starting. That way we don't get a copyright strike. I'm also going to speed it up a little bit because this is fair use. Fair use. I don't want any kind of copyright strikes, any kind of stuff like that. Let me go ahead and adjust my screen so therefore we don't get in any trouble. But you see, it's Stephen A., Paul Feinbaum, and Shannon Sharp, and they were all talking about this latest coming out of Colorado when it comes to this banishment.
You know, last year when Prime arrived at Buffalo, obviously Shannon and I were.
It's funny he said Buffalo.
Game, but we was at the home. We were at the home opener. Then we took first take there, and we did the show from there. Rooting for Deion. I've known Deion for years. He's a friend and a brother. Got a lot of love for him. I do not agree with how he's handled this situation. I do not agree with how the Colorado program has handled this situation.
I think this is key too, because he says he don't agree how Deion's handled it, but he also doesn't agree how Colorado's handled this. And I like what he says right here because this is very, very true. Let's take a listen.
And quite frankly, I'm a bit disappointed because you have to have thicker skin than that. If you don't want to talk to the reporter, Shannon, don't talk to the reporter. But to have the program putting out a release announcing that we're not going to take questions as a program from this guy is utterly ridiculous. You started off 3-1. You beat TCU. Put Paul and Shannon back up there. I don't even want to see just me. I want to see the both of them as well. TCU was the national runner-up the year before. Colorado opens the season in the primetime Deion Sanders era.
Now, he's kind of just going over their season last year, but he makes a great point because even if, like, when there's beefs between coaches and administrations and reporters all the time, because if the reporter's doing the job right, they're not always going to be happy, glowy, glowy, happy, glowy, glowy. So therefore, they're going to write critical pieces. Some say can go too far, not far enough, whatever. I don't think Sean Keeler went too far. I mean, some of the stuff they put in there was deposition Deion and stupid stuff like that. Like, that's not enough to ban somebody. But to put out a whole damn press release that you're banning questions from this man is ridiculous, like Stephen A. would say. Let's keep listening.
You beat them. And what did you do post-conference? Do you believe? Do you believe? And he kept asking that question, and he wanted to hear the reporter say, do you believe? And then he shoot him off. Okay, so what happens thereafter? You win 2 more games. You start off 3-0. The rest of the way, you lost 6 straight. You lose 7 of 8. And obviously, you're going to have critics, people who were lining up. Remember that pregame motivation?
All very true, because remember after their first game against TCU, do you believe now? Do you believe? And he looked at the reporter. And the reporter said something like, he didn't say no, but he didn't say, yeah, I believe. He said, well, you don't believe, and shoot him off. That's what he's referring to. This is all true. Stephen A. coming with some heat today, and folks don't want to hear it.
Motivational speech Coach Lanning at Oregon did before they run up Colorado on national television, Shannon. And remember how he said, he took a direct shot at primetime Deion Sanders. He was saying, yo, you understand what I'm saying? We ain't trying to win the headlines. We're going to win out on the field. And then they went and they slaughtered them. And so
he didn't say we ain't trying to play for headlines. He said they play for clicks. We play for championships. We're not playing for clicks. That was what he used. Now, Lanning has come and tried to dismiss that. I wasn't talking about. We know what you meant, Coach Lanning.
We have to take that into account. Now, primetime, and I believe in him. I believe in him as a coach. I damn sure believe in him as a person. You know, and I've known him for over 2 decades. I know that his purpose is higher than just winning football games. But he's also somebody that has to understand winning football games. That's where it has to start. Because everything else, in terms of the media, nobody wants to hear all of that. You don't want. Listen, when we got on LeBron James, I bring up LeBron James for this one thing. What did I used to get on LeBron James about, Shannon? What did I used to get on LeBron James about? If he did great, it was fantastic. He'd soak it all in. And when he had a bad night, well, I'm just trying to be a role model to the kids. And they used to drive me nuts. It's like, can we stick to basketball? We're not questioning your character. We're not doing it. Let's stay right where it is. Well, now we fast forward and we think about somebody like Primetime. And you're talking about not being negative or whatever. Well, Prime, this is my brother. I love him and I believe in him and I agree. And I know where he's coming from. But there is evidence
No, you don't know where he's coming from. You don't. In this case, you don't, because that's why you're going so hard. Because you're right and they're wrong on this.
where you've gone against the media. There is evidence when you've been negative
Oh, come on. Don't
towards
mess
the
up.
media because they've been negative towards you. Maybe not as the head coach in Colorado, but as a player, you were that way. Over the years, you were that way. Last year, when you beat TCU,
Oh, come on.
when you were shooing folks off, you were that way. You can't then turn around because of a columnist who's been considered somebody. I don't know Mr. Keeler at all. I don't know. I don't know much about his work, Sean Keeler, for the Denver Post. I'm not casting any aspersions on him, but there are people in the media out there that said he has been hypercritical and he has been accused of being a shock jock, et cetera, et cetera. If anybody's supposed to know how to deal with that, it's supposed to be prime time.
And no, nobody in media has said that. That's the narrative that Colorado's spinning. And I hold on. But I agree with Stephen A 100% on this. You can't be someone that just bans people for being critical. Like the examples that they gave. Let me look up those examples once again of what they gave when it comes to Keeler and why they banned him. Let's see. Let me read the report straight from ESPN. I mean, some of the stuff was just stupid. After a series of personal attacks, blah, blah. Let's see. The stuff that they banned him for, according to the Post, Colorado Athletics Department media staffer told the newspaper it took issue with Keeler's references to Sanders' deposition Deion. So deposition Deion is from when he had his divorce from Pilar and he had the deposition and it was kind of weird. The Bruce Lee of BS, which is hilarious, by the way. I mean, I just think that's funny. I mean, that's just funny. And a quote unquote false prophet. He uses a phrase such as Planet Prime, the Deion Kool-Aid, and circus. The ban is indefinite according to the Post. Like, that's just being soft. Like, let's just call it what it is. That's being ultra sensitive and soft. Planet Prime, deposition Deion, a false prophet. You use a lot of Bible quotes, so people are going to say stuff like that. Like, especially when you're losing, all you have to do is go in and win. And first of all you have to do is just not answer his question. But to put out a public statement to ban Sean Keeler from asking you and the Colorado players questions, that's soft. That's weak. Just call it what it is. That is weak because, like, you're teaching your players how to be men. You're teaching your players how to be above things and to grow and learn from things. But then to do something like this is the complete opposite of what you're teaching your players on the field. You have to learn how to deal with adversity. Sean Keeler seems to be a form of adversity for you when it comes to your coaching and what you're trying to do and what you're trying to build. If anything, I would have Sean Keeler there every single time. So there, as you're winning, you can look at Sean and be like, what you going to write today, Sean? What you got for me today, Sean? Because we just won another effing game, because we just did something else you didn't think we could do, because we continue to upset the apple cart. But instead, it's like, we're going to ban him? Nah, man. All because he didn't curse at you. He didn't call you out of your name in a just a disgusting type of way. Deposition Deion, Planet Prime, the Bruce Lee of BS. So what? There's been way worse things said and written about you. You gonna ban this dude because he's the one guy in Colorado, the state of Colorado, that isn't drinking the Deion Kool-Aid, as he would put? Nah, that's weak, man. So, okay, let me get this right. The only way you can cover Colorado football and Coach Prime is if you're writing nice things about him after 4-8 season, after bringing another 50 transfers. Nah, bro. Nah. And I'm with Stephen A. And Stephen A, you could tell it hurt him to say this, but the one thing, Stephen A, in this case, he knew he had to do this because Stephen A is a reporter, or he came up that way, being a columnist, a reporter. And I've always kind of felt this way. Stephen A wants to stick up for other reporters. He wants to stick up for media because he knows if you can ban guys like Sean Keeler, XYZ, all because they're saying bad things about him, you can then, not necessarily him because he's one of the top dogs, but you can stop the next one of him or stop the next young reporter or whatever, even though Keeler's a veteran. But still, he understands that censorship and trying to excommunicate guys for doing their jobs, guys and gals from doing their job, ain't right. He know it ain't right. And I'm curious to see how Deion's going to react to what Stephen A had to say. I am very curious because Stephen A said, no, this was weak. This was weak on Colorado's part. This was weak on Prime's part. And it was extra weak on Colorado's part, the fact that in his contract, he can do this. Like y'all wrote this. So y'all wrote this knowing that there could be some turbulence and that he can ban reporters from asking him questions. Crazy. That's crazy, man. That is insane. So we'll see what happens. We will see what happens moving forward. I don't know. I think this week, I agree with Stephen A 100% that this was a weak move. And we will see what Prime has to say about Stephen A going against him and against Colorado in favor of Sean Keeler in the Denver Post. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Stephen A. Smith goes against Prime in Colorado and agrees with the Denver Post and Sean Keeler that Keeler should not be banned from asking Prime questions. My name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. This is the Victor Formation Sports Show. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Once again, my name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JLightsy7. That is on Twitter and Instagram at JLightsy7. Hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.